Last night's Smackdown, when Bronson Reed was rushed to the hospital following a brutal backstage attack by none other than Brock Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate. What started as an intense rivalry exploded into a shocking moment that left fans and wrestlers alike stunned. Bronson, known for his strength and resilience, was left battered and in need of immediate medical attention after facing Lesnar's relentless fury. The scene was raw and frightening, showing a side of WWE we rarely see. The harsh reality behind the glitz and scripted drama. Everyone is now holding their breath, hoping Bronson recovers quickly from this devastating incident. This is a moment no one will forget anytime soon. The prelude. Why this was more than just a fight. To truly grasp the gravity of the incident, we must first rewind and understand the critical event that ignited this entire conflict. Bronson Reed, an imposing figure in WWE with a reputation for raw power and physical dominance, made a bold and daring move against Brock Lesnar. Reed's attack wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment outburst. It was a carefully calculated ambush designed to shake the foundation of WWE's power hierarchy. Using the element of surprise and weapons, Reed targeted Lesnar in a way that was both vicious and strategic, intending to humiliate one of wrestling's most feared and legendary figures. This attack was meant to symbolize a passing of the torch, or at least a challenge to Lesnar's dominance. When Reed stood over Lesnar's temporarily defeated form, the scene was almost cinematic. His pride was palpable, a gleam of triumph in his eyes, as he felt he had seized the upper hand and altered the power dynamics within WWE. However, Reed's critical miscalculation was misunderstanding Lesnar's mindset. Lesnar isn't just a competitor. He's a relentless force. For him, being attacked isn't an endpoint. It's a call to arms, signaling the beginning of a deeper, more brutal conflict. This set the stage for what was less a fight and more a war. With Lesnar determined to take back control and send a message that challenging him comes with consequences far beyond a single battle. Lesnar's hunt begins. A predator on the prowl. The moment Reed struck, Lesnar's mentality shifted instantly from being a target to becoming a hunter. Reports from backstage paint a vivid picture of Lesnar's single-minded focus as he prowled the corridors of the arena. His eyes were described as burning with a lethal coldness. A predator's stare locked onto his prey. Unlike Reed's measured and strategic strike, Lesnar's response was immediate and raw, driven by instinct and fury rather than careful planning. He wasn't simply looking for a fight. He was hunting a wounded opponent, someone who had dared to disrupt his legacy. The atmosphere backstage shifted palpably as Lesnar moved through the venue with purpose. When he finally found Reed near the catering area, the scene was a stark contrast to Reed's relaxed and unsuspecting demeanor. Reed was off guard, chatting casually with other wrestlers, unaware that Lesnar's wrath was about to explode. This moment was the calm before the storm, a chilling pause that underscored the unpredictability and danger of Lesnar's retaliation. It became clear that what was about to unfold would transcend the usual scripted conflict and enter a realm of brutal reality. The attack. Pure, relentless fury. There was no warning or escalation leading up to Lesnar's assault. No heated words or tension-filled exchanges. Instead, Lesnar appeared suddenly, like a force of nature. His face was dark, his expression one of deadly intent. With a speed that seemed almost superhuman, he launched himself at Reed, tackling him with such force that Reed crashed through a nearby table, the thunderous impact reverberating through the backstage area. But this initial blow was merely the start of a sustained, merciless onslaught. Lesnar's assault wasn't fueled by uncontrolled rage, but by a cold, deliberate, methodical destruction. Minutes stretched as he systematically dismantled Reed, using his strength, experience, and cunning to dominate the attack. Witnesses quickly dispersed, instinctively recognizing the severity of what they were seeing. This wasn't a scripted fight. It was genuine violence. Those brave enough to capture footage documented an intense, raw encounter so graphic that WWE may never release it publicly. Lesnar transformed the backstage environment into a battlefield, weaponizing everything around him, from equipment cases used as battering rams to steel barriers swung with brutal force. The level of calculated violence, combined with Lesnar's emotional detachment, turned the confrontation into a chilling display of raw power and control. Reed's desperate struggle. Survival over dominance. Bronson Reed's transformation during the assault was both shocking and heartbreaking. Known for his towering presence and formidable strength, Reed had built his reputation as a symbol of power, confidence, and resilience. Yet, in this brutal encounter, all of that dominance quickly dissolved, replaced by sheer desperation. Instead of the commanding figure fans admired in the ring, Reed was reduced to fighting for basic survival. Every attempt to push Brock Lesnar away or create distance was met with overwhelming, crushing force. Lesnar's relentless aggression left Reed no room to breathe or strategize. It became a primal battle where instinct took over. One of the most poignant moments came when Reed, with nowhere else to turn, sought refuge behind his fellow wrestlers, using them as human shields. This silent gesture was a desperate call for help, showing just how vulnerable he felt against Lesnar's unyielding onslaught. Even the WWE officials, who are usually quick to intervene in backstage skirmishes, were hesitant. The aura of controlled fury Lesnar radiated created a palpable barrier of fear, deterring anyone from stepping in. This wasn't just a wrestling fight anymore. It had morphed into something far more personal and brutal. A merciless vendetta that went beyond choreography or scripted rivalries. For fans and insiders alike, this moment shattered the illusion of backstage safety, exposing a raw, dangerous undercurrent where genuine emotions and real risks collided. It was a stark reminder that beneath the glitz and showmanship of WWE, tempers and egos can ignite violence that feels all too real. The use of improvised weapons, calculated violence. What made Lesnar's retaliation uniquely terrifying was his expert use of improvised weapons, a sharp contrast to Reed's earlier, more premeditated attack using steel pipes and chairs. Lesnar didn't rely on a planned arsenal. Instead, he weaponized the environment around him with brutal fluidity. Anything within reach, steel chairs, equipment cases, even parts of the backstage infrastructure, instantly became tools of destruction in his hands. Yet, what sets this apart from mindless brutality was Lesnar's chilling precision. He didn't just wildly swing or bash. Every strike was measured, every object wielded with the intention of inflicting maximum pain without causing permanent injury. This reveals a deeply tactical approach. Lesnar understands the fine line between punishing an opponent and ending a career, and he walks it expertly. The sounds of impact, sickening, heavy, visceral, were far removed from the stage slams and hits that fans are accustomed to seeing on television. These were the harsh noises of genuine physical trauma. Flesh, bone, and muscle colliding under force. This blend of raw power, tactical violence, and emotional coldness painted a terrifying portrait of Lesnar as more than just an entertainer. He became a true physical dominator, someone who transcended the scripted world to impose real control through force. For Reed, it was a nightmare scenario, facing not only Lesnar's overwhelming strength, but also the calculated brutality of a man who knew exactly how to hurt without breaking. A man who operated on a level few could comprehend. This moment peeled back the curtain on just how dangerous the Beast Incarnate truly is. Security struggle, containing the Beast. The intensity of the backstage confrontation was immediately clear by the response, or rather, the initial inability of WWE security to handle the situation. Several guards rushed toward the chaos, expecting to quickly separate the combatants and restore order. But Brock Lesnar, often described as a human wrecking machine, demonstrated why that reputation is well earned. His overwhelming power and explosive speed sent multiple guards retreating in shock and pain, as they underestimated the raw physicality of the situation. The scene was chaotic. Security personnel, some visibly shaken, scrambled to regroup and coordinate an effective response. It wasn't a simple matter of stepping between two wrestlers anymore. Lesnar was operating on an entirely different level, fueled by a primal fury that made containment incredibly difficult. Nearly 10 security guards were ultimately required to band together to wrestle Lesnar away from Bronson Reed. Even then, the Beast's agitation was palpable. He wasn't merely angry. He was relentless, a predator intent on finishing a calculated mission. The struggle wasn't just physical. It was psychological intimidation on a massive scale, a raw demonstration of dominance that left no room for doubt about who held power in that backstage corridor. This moment showed that Lesnar's fury was not a passing storm, but a focused vendetta that demanded total submission from anyone who dared challenge him. The security team's struggle emphasized how outmatched and overwhelmed they were, reinforcing the dangerous reality of the confrontation and how far beyond entertainment this violence had moved. Psychological warfare, breaking Reed's spirit. The attack wasn't just about physical damage. Brock Lesnar made sure the mental impact was just as devastating. While the bruises and injuries inflicted on Bronson Reed were brutal, the real battle extended beyond the body. Lesnar's verbal taunts cut through the chaos backstage like sharp knives, each word carefully chosen to tear down Reed's confidence and sense of self. When Lesnar growled, "You thought you could embarrass me? You thought attacking me from behind made you dangerous?" It wasn't just an angry outburst. It was a targeted psychological strike. These words weren't random insults born of rage, but rather a deliberate attempt to strip Reed of the pride and belief he had gained from his earlier ambush. Reed had thought his surprise attack changed the WWE power dynamic, but Lesnar's words worked to erase that feeling, undermining Reed's sense of accomplishment and making him question his own strength and position. This kind of mental warfare is often overlooked, but in Lesnar's hands, it was as ruthless and effective as any physical blow. By attacking Reed's spirit while dominating him physically, Lesnar ensured that the damage would last long after the bruises healed. This was about more than just punishment. It was about sending a clear message to Reed and to anyone else who might challenge him in the future. Crossing Brock Lesnar comes with serious consequences. The psychological scars left by these words could be just as debilitating as the physical injuries, leaving Reed haunted by the encounter. Lesnar wasn't simply settling a score. He was asserting dominance on every level, body, mind, and spirit, making this attack a deeply personal vendetta and a chilling warning. The aftermath, medical crisis, and stark contrast. When the dust finally settled and medical personnel were allowed to enter the scene, the full scale of Bronson Reed's injuries became painfully clear. The once formidable Australian powerhouse was bloodied, battered, and barely conscious, requiring urgent medical intervention to stabilize him before he could be transported for further care. The sight was stark and sobering. A man of immense physical presence reduced to a fragile state by a relentless assault. This moment underscored the brutal reality of the encounter. It was not a scripted, choreographed battle, but a genuinely dangerous confrontation with lasting consequences. The contrast between Reed's battered, vulnerable state and Brock Lesnar's composed, unmarked appearance was striking. Lesnar walked away as if untouched by the violence he had just unleashed, his calm demeanor emphasizing the one-sided nature of the attack. This visual disparity sent a clear message to the entire WWE community. Lesnar was operating on a different level, both physically and psychologically. The image of Reed being carried away on a stretcher, surrounded by paramedics, while Lesnar calmly exited the scene, reinforced the depth of the damage inflicted and the dominance Lesnar exerted. It was a chilling reminder that, in this encounter, Lesnar was not merely a competitor. He was a force of nature capable of dismantling even the most formidable opponents with terrifying efficiency. Lesnar's chilling exit, calm and composed. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of the entire encounter was Brock Lesnar's demeanor after the attack. Instead of showing signs of exhaustion, remorse, or even a trace of satisfaction, Lesnar emerged from the chaos with a chilling calmness. When approached by backstage interviewers seeking comment, His response was simple, direct, and deeply intimidating. Reed wanted to know what happens when you attack Brock Lesnar. Now he knows, delivered with a quiet, almost casual tone. These words cemented Lesnar's reputation as a predator who exists beyond the usual drama and theatrics of professional wrestling. There was no need for grandstanding or emotional outbursts. Lesnar's message was conveyed in his actions and reinforced with his icy, composed delivery. This moment illustrated that for Lesnar, violence is a precise tool, wielded with cold efficiency. His calm exit demonstrated a disturbing level of control and confidence, as if he were merely reminding everyone why he remains one of the most feared figures in WWE history. Rather than a moment of vulnerability, it was a calculated display of power, reinforcing the idea that crossing Lesnar carries consequences that extend far beyond the physical realm. His composed exit became a defining moment, capturing the essence of a man who operates on a level few can comprehend or challenge. The ripple effect. Locker room, shock, and realignment. The news of Lesnar's backstage rampage and the graphic footage that circulated quickly sent shockwaves through the WWE locker room. Wrestlers and staff alike were forced to confront the reality of Lesnar's unchecked dominance, prompting a wave of fear, respect, and reconsideration of how they approached their own careers. Some wrestlers, previously eager to challenge or build storylines around Lesnar, immediately requested creative changes to avoid direct confrontation. The incident wasn't merely a warning to Bronson Reed, it was a company-wide message about the hierarchy within WWE and the real consequences of disrespecting its apex predator. Backstage conversations buzzed with a mixture of awe and apprehension, as many realized the practical dangers of provoking Lesnar. This moment fundamentally altered the locker room's dynamics, reinforcing the importance of respect and caution when dealing with someone of Lesnar's caliber. The psychological impact was profound. Lesnar's destruction of Reed served as a vivid reminder that no amount of momentum, size, or bravado could guarantee safety from his wrath. It also redefined the power structure, elevating Lesnar's status not just as a dominant performer, but as an almost untouchable force whose wrath could derail careers. The ripple effect extended beyond immediate reactions, influencing storylines, character arcs, and the very culture within WWE. This event crystallized the brutal reality behind the spectacle. Respect and caution are paramount in a world where the beast still rules with an iron fist. Career-altering consequences. The future for Reed and Lesnar. The brutal attack on Bronson Reed marks a critical inflection point in his career. Physically, the road to recovery promises to be grueling. Injuries of this magnitude often require extensive rehabilitation, medical treatment, and a cautious return to full strength. But beyond the physical toll, the psychological impact could be even more profound. Reed will have to overcome not only the pain and trauma of the assault, but also the mental scars left by being overwhelmed so completely by a legendary figure like Brock Lesnar. This incident forces Reed to confront the reality of his position within WWE's hierarchy. While he once stood as a rising powerhouse and symbol of new dominance, the attack has starkly reminded him and the entire wrestling world about the dangers of underestimating the established apex predator. However, this challenge also offers an opportunity. Many wrestlers have reinvented themselves after setbacks, using adversity to fuel a transformation that resonates deeply with fans. Reed's journey through recovery could redefine his character, turning him into a more resilient, hardened figure with a personal vendetta or newfound humility. For Lesnar, the attack served to reaffirm his legendary status. Despite time away and advancing age, the Beast Incarnate has shown that his lethal edge remains razor-sharp. This incident is a statement. Lesnar is not just a relic of the past or a fading star, but a continuing force of nature in WWE. His ability to dominate and intimidate rivals backstage and in the ring ensures he remains a terrifying figure whose presence commands respect and fear, shaping the future of WWE's power dynamics. Final thoughts. The Beast remains untouchable. Brock Lesnar's backstage assault on Bronson Reed was far from a scripted wrestling segment. It was a raw, unfiltered display of power and dominance that transcended the usual theatricality of WWE. The lasting image of Reed, battered and carried away on a stretcher, contrasted sharply with Lesnar, calm and unscathed, serves as a haunting symbol of the ruthless nature of their confrontation. This scene crystallizes why Lesnar is regarded as WWE's most feared competitor. His ability to impose his will physically and psychologically on others remains unmatched. The encounter was more than just a fight. It was a stark lesson in respect, hierarchy, and the brutal realities lurking behind the entertainment spectacle. It sent a clear message to anyone daring enough to challenge Lesnar. Crossing the Beast invites consequences far beyond scripted outcomes. For Bronson Reed, this lesson is personal and unforgettable. The incident will likely shape his career narrative, his personal resilience, and how the WWE Universe views him moving forward. For the wider WWE community, it reinforced that Lesnar operates on a plane above the rest, a predator whose dominance extends backstage as much as it does inside the ring. The story of this encounter will linger in WWE history as a chilling reminder of the raw power that Brock Lesnar embodies, maintaining his untouchable aura and reminding all that the Beast remains very much alive and dangerous.